Rhetorical analysis. We're going to be writing a rhetorical analysis essay, and so I thought we'd kind of review some of the components of the rhetorical analysis essay and the skill that is associated with it. And this will be a good resource for you because really rhetorical analysis is good not just for this essay that you'll do in the free response question, but also for when you analyze the passages that you get in the multiple choice questions. Also, it'll help you when you're writing your synthesis essay, so that you know what the sources that you're going to use are saying. So I'm just going to go through these models of rhetorical analysis pretty quickly, starting with what it is. Um, when you get your passage, you want to make sure that you look at how the author creates an argument, um, and the different choices that are used. And so rhetorical analysis is the analysis of a text that seeks to change the way a reader thinks, feels, or acts. So it's really looking into the argument that the author is creating. And so the two questions you should always be asking is what's the purpose and how does the speaker or writer achieve that purpose? So looking at the rhetorical choices, looking at the rhetorical situation and how that influences the choices that the author makes. And so these are the 6 different lenses, and we went over this last semester, so I'm not going to go over it too quickly. But these are just different ways to look at how an author creates an argument and using these lenses to guide your rhetorical analysis. So first is the method of development. It's how the line of reasoning is created. And there was a good website that I gave you there that will give you different modes of discourse that you can see that authors use. And we did the rhetorical précis, remember, where we kind of looked at the overarching, the overview of the purpose of a text. Um, and secondly is the arrangement, looking specifically at the structure. And I like this top to bottom analysis because it's a little bit more organic, where you first look at the main claim. You look at the ultimate argument and position of the author, and then you look at how the author develops it using different rhetorical strategies and choices, such as the organization of the evidence, which evidence is presented and why, and is there a shift in tone, or are there other rhetorical strategies? For example, does the author use anecdotes? What type of statistics are used? That all goes into the line of reasoning that's created. Third is stylistic features, looking at specifically what type of choices stylistically the author used. And you kind of do that just inherently in this anyway. So rhetorical appeals is another way to look at it. The ethos, logos, and pathos. And I'll have another activity next week where we look at different ways to say that you're talking about the author's rhetorical appeals, but not actually using the words logos, ethos, pathos. And I want to do that because students oftentimes misuse the way that you're supposed to say the appeals. And so in order to kind of avoid that confusion, I'll give you different examples of how to say the author's rhetorical appeals without saying logos, ethos, pathos. Okay, and here's kind of a macro view of how to look at the framework of rhetoric, kind of looking first at the rhetorical situation and how that influences the rhetorical appeals, and then that influences the stylistic features or the surface features, as it says here. Um, Also, looking at the rhetorical situation is very important, and kind of the 3 main ones that you ought to look at and analyze is the exigence, the audience, and purpose, which we talked about multiple times throughout the semester. Very significant, very important. Please, please, please have that down. And lastly, kind of looking at the logic of an author's argument, looking at the what, meaning what's the actual argument, and really try to understand from the author's perspective. And then the how, and this is where you kind of look at what's the line of reasoning, but also what are some kind of critiques you can make in the rhetorical choices that the author makes. Okay, and so when you write your essay, this is pretty standard of um, what the College Board is going to be looking for in your essay. They are really, first will give you a passage of about 600, 800 words, and you're going to write an essay in which you respond to the prompt with a thesis, and it should be clear. And guys, let's really work on making sure that we have our thesis down in the beginning, and then use evidence to support your line of reasoning. Explain how that evidence supports your line of reasoning, and that's really the CER method, right? And make sure you delve into the rhetorical situation and use proper grammar and punctuation, all that standard English stuff. So here's a sample question of what you'll be given. And it's pretty standard. They'll give you an introduction, and in this case, it's the Madame Albright speech. And then they'll give you the prompt. This is the prompt. Write an essay that analyzes the rhetorical choices Albright makes to convey her message that perseverance can make a difference. They already give you one aspect of the rhetorical situation, message. And now all you got to do is just take that thesis and just say, here are the rhetorical choices that I'm going to analyze that convey that message. They've already done half of the thesis for you, so don't overthink it too much. And then they'll give you the passage, and you should read it and apply the rhetorical choices that you find. And so here's the activity that I want you guys to do at home. This is what you're going to do and submit it. You're going to look at the second section of Mother Tongue, which is paragraphs 8 through 17 in your textbook. In third edition, you have it in your textbook. If you have second edition, look at the article or look at the essay that I put online. I'll put it on today's daily agenda as well. And you're just going to write a paragraph where you analyze the rhetorical choices and really just choose one rhetorical choices that she used in this section in order to convey the message of the effect that broken English had on her. Okay? So she really delves into the effect that especially her mom's broken English and just English in general had on her. So read through that and write your paragraph. Use the CER method where your topic sentence is your claim. Choose your rhetorical choice, and I know I said choices, but really choose one choice and give an example. And quotes are always great. And integrate the quote. You can say, as seen in paragraph 10, or you know, insert it into your quote. This can be seen when Tan writes blah blah blah. So really try to integrate that quote, and then provide at least 2 sentences where you explain how that example you chose supports the claim that you made, and then have at least 2 examples per paragraph. So in this case, in this paragraph, you're going to have a second example and then 2 more sentences at least to explain how that example supports your claim, and then always end with a concluding sentence. Okay? So that's rhetorical analysis in a nutshell. We'll have another essay coming up soon, so make sure that you remember the rhetorical choices and are able to identify and analyze and communicate it in your essay. All right. If you have any questions or need any help, please reach out to me.